Good afternoon. I'm Paul Courant, Interim Provost of the University of Michigan and professor of three fields that almost none of you are in: economics, public policy, and information. It's my pleasure to formally open this ceremony. Please rise and join me in singing the Star-Spangled Banner. Please be seated. Commencement ceremonies for most university schools and colleges were held in April at the end of winter term. The curricula at some of our schools and colleges, however, extend beyond that date, and it is the custom of these schools to convene their commencement ceremonies at a later time. I'm pleased this afternoon to convene the graduation ceremony for the 167th class of our distinguished medical school. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Marshall Runge, Executive Vice President for Medical Affairs and Dean of the Medical School, who will introduce the honored guests in attendance.
Thank you, Paul, and welcome everyone to today's commencement. I'd like to introduce a few other key leaders of our university community who are here today.
Vice President and General Counsel, Mr. Timothy Lynch. President of the Medical School Alumni Society, Dr. Richard Bonfiglio, and some Alumni Society will be a key link for you in the future. Dean of the School of Ecclesiology, Dr. Lord Klaus Steiner.
Dean of the School of Education, Dean Elizabeth Moshe. Dean of the School of Nursing, Dr. Patty Hearn, and Dean of the College of Pharmacy, Dean James Dalton. I would also like to extend a special welcome to Dr. Philip Peven, who's here today with us from the class of 1941. Dr. Peven celebrated his 100th birthday this year. And he's here with his son, Roger. I'd also like to acknowledge all the families, the spouses, the significant others, the friends, all of those who are here with you today or not with you, who provided such support that I know and you know was so important for you to complete this milestone in your life. There's no doubt that their encouragement, their support, their love was pivotal for you, and I think we should ask all of them to stand so we can recognize them. Thank you. What a wonderful group, and thank you for all being here today. Now to our 2017 graduates. Congratulations. Today you enter the profession of medicine and the family of Michigan alumni. For those of you who are not familiar with this class, let me share a few facts. In August of 2013, 170 students began their journey here as first-year students. Today we have 174 graduates. Some of your peers started in earlier years, took time off for family or to pursue research or other opportunities, and are now graduating with the class of 2017. With this graduating class, 37 of you are also receiving a second degree, 11 PhDs through our Physician Scientist MD PhD program. The remainder earned master's degrees in a wide range of fields, including public health, business, comparative social policy, clinical research, and others. But it wasn't all work and no play. 20 students here today got married during their time, and in addition to your many academic and cultural and other achievements, 13 babies were born to the class of 2017. And I understand one is on the way. When you started this journey 4 years ago, it probably felt like today would never arrive, but it's today. And if it's the same for you as it was for me and for many of us, as you look forward to this next phase of your career, it will likely be the most exciting phase of your professional career. Your learning curve will be exponential. You'll have expectations and experiences that you will never forget, and you'll develop friendships that will last a lifetime, much like your friendships in medical school. With all the rapid progress in medicine, this is an absolutely unprecedented time for leaders such as you in healthcare. There are many professional avenues that exist for clinicians, clinician educators, clinician scientists, clinician policymakers, and many others. It's also daunting in that it's a time in our lives when the most rapid advances in technology have occurred at any time in history. And you will have the opportunity to apply those technologies to the care of your patients and to the betterment of their health. And over the next 30 years, who knows what will come forth? Just to make that point, when I was in medical school, of course there were no wearable devices, no iPhones, no iPads. There were no laptops. In fact, there were no desktop computers. And from a scientific standpoint, the restriction enzymes that Dr. Collins so elegantly used to clone the cystic fibrosis gene had just been discovered, and there were 2 or 3 of them. So I never possibly could have imagined what we have today to extend to the care of our friends and family and patients. This is also an entirely new era in terms of collaborations, and it's well understood, well proven, and I know well embraced by your class that the delivery of health and the practice of medicine is a partnership and a collaboration with professionals in many other fields of health, many of which are represented here today. Technology and public health concerns will also demand that you and your peers think about not only health care, but also incorporate the wisdom of engineers, of social workers, of policymakers, data analysis, just to name a few. It's also a great time for our patients and how we care for them. Many of you probably have done telemedicine. Telemedicine was a future envisioned a decade ago, but really is just coming to the forefront. Some of you have seen patients who are getting some of their blood pressure monitoring connected through our medical record but they're getting it in a store. And who knows what it'll be like for the rest of your career, but you'll have the chance to learn and adapt and apply these technologies. Now more than ever, we need strong leaders in medicine, leaders who can rapidly adapt to this ever-changing environment. We need collaborators, we need innovators, we need pioneers who can reach across disciplines and work with many different subject matter experts. And we also need compassionate caregivers who, in spite of the technology, remember the power of the human touch and the emotional connection with their patients. You are these leaders. You're the pioneers. You're the caregivers who will shape the incredible future of healthcare. I look forward in a bit to leading you in the Hippocratic Oath and congratulating each of you as you receive your diploma. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Carol R. Bradford, Executive Vice Dean for Academic Affairs, who will guide us through the rest of the ceremony. Congratulations.
So this is really a very, very special day. It is truly the highlight of the academic year. Congratulations to our class of 2017. Before we proceed, I would like to extend a special welcome and thank you to all of our scholarship donors who have joined us today. Thank you so much. We are so very grateful for your generous support, which has helped make this day possible for so many of our graduates. Thank you for your commitment to medical education and your investment in the future of medicine. Now, to our graduates. For most of you, your official journey to become a doctor started 4 years ago, though I suspect for many of you, your dream of becoming a physician started long before that. You came to this amazing campus because of your call to serve others and to save lives. Many of you knew exactly what kind of medicine you wanted to practice. Others found your way along the way. Some took a new path into research, others an MBA, others studied the scholarship of education. Whatever your path, look around and see those that walked with you. Your family members and friends have supported you every step of the way. I know that you are so very appreciative of their support and encouragement on this journey. And your classmates. Most were strangers when you arrived. Take it from me. Many will become your lifelong friends. Enjoy this day. It is one of the biggest in your entire life. Then, go forward and represent the University of Michigan Medical School in the pursuit of excellence in all you accomplish in your residency and far, far beyond. You will change healthcare, and you will lead the future of medicine. Congratulations. And now, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce Jessie Burke-Raffel, who has been selected. Woo! Who has been selected by all of you on the behalf of the senior class. Jessie has an incredible background. He graduated from the University of Washington with a Bachelor of Science in Bioengineering. He subsequently spent a year in Mongolia working for the Ministry of Health, and then completed a master's degree at University College London. He joined the University of Michigan Medical School in 2013. And while here, Jessie has demonstrated outstanding service leadership. He worked with the faculty to create robust student representation for our bold, new, innovative medical school curriculum. He has presented this process at national meetings and has been the go-to person for other schools seeking to emulate the University of Michigan and engage the students as change agents. He has published this important work in major medical education journals. In short, Jesse is poised to become a leading scholar in the field of medical education. Please join me in welcoming Jesse, the 2017 class speaker, as he gives his address entitled, "A Funny, Insightful, and Witty Speech."
Well, thank you, Dr. Bradford, for that overly generous introduction, which I helped to draft. No matter what happens today, getting a dean to read that speech title is a real win, I think. I'm really, truly humbled to be on this stage. When I spoke with my family, who's sitting right over there, about that I'd be speaking before Francis Collins, I said, "Who?" You know, our NIH director? To which they said, "NIH stands for what again, exactly?" Clearly, my family is not in the sciences. But in fairness, I did discover, in looking up Francis Collins a bit, that he was once on the New Republic magazine's list of most powerful, least famous people. So I think I speak for our whole cohort in welcoming Dr. Collins to speak. In prepping my remarks, several things struck me. One, Googling how to give a good commencement address is entirely unhelpful. Avoid poking fun at others. Too late. Be Steve Jobs. Also too late. Regrow your beard. That was helpful. Two, our class is incredibly diverse. I'm a white guy from Seattle whose most unique features are his socks. It's impossible for me to speak for all of our class, so I really beg your forgiveness as I try my best. And three, we, as has been noted already, really celebrate our families today. Your warm meals, your emotional support, your very low-interest loans made medical school possible, if not tolerable. Thanks also, family, for cornering us at every holiday gathering with your medical ailments that had been seen by numerous subspecialists, but we, as the doctor in the family, were going to solve. Family, my family, for the record, I know nothing about children, pregnant women, or rheumatology. Just wanted to clear that up. So with all that said, I'm going to use this soapbox, which you've inexplicably given me, to reflect on what has really mattered, I think, in our training, and then to look ahead to the future a little bit, if I can avoid getting blinded by this tassel. So William Osler, who created the first residency program, said that education is not a college course, not a medical course, but a life course. He also said varicose veins result from an improper selection of grandparents. I'm not sure we should trust him. Nonetheless, I do tend to agree with Osler. With all due respect to the faculty sitting behind me, who I'm going to continue to insult people sitting behind me, most of us don't remember the detailed anatomy of the hand or the treatment of protozoan infections, answer Page infectious disease. Or the significance of that striking similarity of caseous necrosis to gorgonzola cheese. Why was that important? Yeah. We'll let that simmer for a second. What has really stuck for us, what has really sunk in, I think, are those critical moments that, forged relationships, moved our emotions or changed how we thought. For me, donning our white coats in this auditorium 4 years ago was special. My mom had passed away from breast cancer several years prior. And that white coat, which was so short and so ill-fitting, symbolized entrance to a profession that I think has incredible possibility and also responsibility, and also that our profession has very poor fashion taste. We slogged through 2 years of lectures. We lost our library and were relegated to that windowless study dungeon that I think brought us together, at least in shared disgruntlement. But eventually, quite mercifully, we made it onto the wards. And I think on the wards we bonded further. We found out which medical student could come up with the least incorrect care plan. And blessed with time, we got to know our patients. I remember Miss D. She loved Christmas. This lady, who I was very fond of, had taped Christmas cards onto every surface of the hospital room, and it was August. And over weeks, we removed 50 pounds of excess fluid from Miss D. She felt great. We felt victorious. But a month after discharge, I got that email from her daughter that Miss D had unexpectedly died. It was, for me, a heart-wrenching reminder that the inexorable march of illness eats our hubris for breakfast. Medicine, though built on the bedrock of science, is in actual practice an art. Sure, clinical algorithms matter, but many patients don't read the textbook, like we say. Teams really seem to deal in probabilities using imperfect evidence. TV programs, like House MD, perpetuate this hero doctor image. But in reality, I think we found out, building patient trust, satisfaction, and, happiness with their care depends more on our bedside manner and our ability to collaborate with nurses than on our medical ingenuity. Likewise, cold, hard facts rarely motivate patients to lose weight before a surgery or convince a mother to vaccinate her children. For a bunch of nerds, I think these are messy realities. So, what was medical school all about? Emotional moments and relationships. Being humbled, shedding our hubris, what hubris we had. The art of medicine. Now, we sit on the precipice of residency. Weekends off there will be so rare we affix the title Golden Weekend. Our superiors there will scoff at our puny 80-hour work week and 28-hour shifts. We will routinely come to work sick. No irony there. Just think about that. I have 3 challenges for us. First, let's be educators. You guys probably knew this was coming, huh? Today we take the title doctor, which is derived from the Latin to teach. All doctors are teachers of their patients, of their colleagues, of family members. Our Hippocratic oath that we'll take today calls on us to share our knowledge with others. And we'll spend fully a quarter of our time, studies show, teaching during residency. Yet, I'd posit most doctors view themselves as scientists before educators. My challenge to us is to embrace that title of doctor, truly. To hone, doctor as teacher, to hone our teaching skills in the same way we would our clinical decision-making or surgical proficiency. I think it'd be amazingly wonderful if one of the legacies of our cohort was a generation of superb clinician educators. Second, let's hold on to our meaning and purpose as doctors. Residency's punishing workload can engender, as I think we've seen, that sort of hamster wheel mentality of getting patients out the door. And that sense of being forced to do what's right for the system, discharges and op times and throughput, and placing that over what might be best for our individual patient or our own health can be morally fatiguing. There are no easy solutions, obviously, but I think we can combat that moral fatigue by creating everyday opportunities that remind us why we went into this profession. I think For many of us, that was the direct care of patients, which unfortunately has been eroded to only 10% of our time. I want to find 10 minutes a day to set aside my to-do list, go back to the bedside, and let my favorite patient just ramble on about her Christmas cards, to a Jew, no less. Third, and finally, let's be positive agents for change. You knew that was also coming as well. Our MD degree and our basic medical knowledge afford us credibility. Yet, I think we can all agree, we're not fully socialized into medicine yet. We still remember what it's like to not know. In fact, we remember it very well. We remember what it's like to be vulnerable, like our patients. That position, insider credibility, outsider perspective, affords us the ability to comprehend and reach both medical and lay audiences. I would argue we must use that unique voice to reach those audiences to improve healthcare, whether it's national reform, duty hours, or local clinic improvements. Sure, the first months of internship are going to be pure survival. But after we acclimate, I challenge us to each choose one issue that we're passionate about, not found in up-to-date, ideally, to work on and research it and gather policy guiding data and write commentaries and lay articles and take to Twitter and engage. Shifting from that survival mode, which I think is tempting to enter, to that active change agency, from watching healthcare happen around us to shaping how it happens, is empowering. That engagement can further anchor that sense of meaning and purpose. It can broaden our community, and it can offer, hopefully, much-needed reprieve from banging our heads against the wall. Fellow graduates, these are my challenges for us. Embrace being an educator. Hold on to your meaning and purpose. Be a positive agent for change. And restate your take-home points at the end of talks. I've witnessed your ingenuity. I've witnessed your incredible compassionate care, your collaborative spirit, your collegiality. I'm really excited to follow you guys as you progress through your careers and see how you touch patients and innovate healthcare. Congrats, class of 2017. Go Blue.
Thank you, Jesse, for your wonderful and witty address. That was fabulous. So, this is really a fun role for me. It is my most sincere pleasure to welcome back to Michigan this year's commencement speaker, Dr. Francis Collins. As we have heard, Dr. Collins is the director of the National Institutes of Health. He is also a physician geneticist, noted for his landmark discovery of genes that cause human diseases, and his leadership of the Human Genome Project. This project led to the sequencing of the entire human genome. He finished the project ahead of schedule and below budget. Very impressive. This project is so impressive that it has been compared to landing on the moon as an outstanding scientific achievement of humankind. We are so very lucky to have Dr. Collins as a member of our own. We were so lucky to have Dr. Collins as a member of our own University of Michigan faculty. Before he joined the NIH, Dr. Collins was a faculty member in the departments of internal medicine and human genetics at our own medical school. He has received the National Medal of Science, and he was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. We are so thrilled and delighted he is our commencement speaker today. And it is the commencement of interesting talk titles, and his speech today is entitled, "Your Times, They Are A-Changing." Please join me in welcoming Dr. Francis Collins.
Thank you very much for that gracious introduction. Nobody told me I had to follow Jesse. Should have been warned about that part. Well, let's see. I'll see if I can try to somehow compare and keep up. I also have 3 points to give to you, and I will summarize them at the end, so we have that in common. But before I get to those 3 points, congratulations, class of 2017. You are awesome. Yeah. Well, you're quite an amazing group. I had a chance to talk to your senior class president, Becky Zahn, about a month ago, because I kind of wanted the inside story. You're like, is this, a pretty good group, or are there things I could make fun of? And she couldn't really think of anything to make fun of, but boy, did she have a lot of nice things to say about you. And from having had the chance to have lunch with a few of you today, she was right. You are an amazingly talented, visionary group of future leaders, and I'm honored to be in your presence here at this commencement. So, in addition, with your camaraderie, which we've heard about, you've also done great in the match. I heard about that. And you have a sense of humor, because I gather your particular smoker, the Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever Horror Show, managed to achieve something that few have done. You managed to make empathy funny. The students are laughing. Everybody else is like, what? Yeah, I guess you had to be there. And I wasn't, but I sure heard about it. And your smoker tiptoed just up to the edge of bad taste. But you didn't quite go over it. That's a little different than my experience as a senior medical student at UNC in 1977, where I spent the... Yeah, absolutely, go Heels. But I did spend the next 6 weeks apologizing, so glad you didn't have that problem. But yes, in addition to saying congratulations to all of you, I also want to give a big shout out, as was done earlier, but we can't do it enough, to your parents, your friends, your spouses, your kids who are all here. So hooray for all of you. So, of course, commencement speakers always think back to their circumstances when they were in the similar space. And yes, that was me in 1977 as an M4 looking towards, I wasn't quite sure what, at UNC. What did I think I was going to do? Believe me, it's nothing like what happened. And that's part of my message to you. If you think you got it figured out, it's not going to work that way. You will have some doors that open for you that are unexpected. To pay attention. They might actually be more interesting than the ones you thought you were about to walk through. And yes, sometimes things will close that you thought you were on the path for, and that's okay too, as long as you can figure out what is your calling. Your calling isn't going to stay the same all the way through. Yes, in that space where I was, in your situation in 1977, I knew I wanted to go into internal medicine. I knew I was interested in genetics. And I knew I wanted to somehow put those things together. And most of my classmates thought that didn't make a lot of sense. How are you going to put genetics and internal medicine together? They didn't see a whole lot of that going on. Well, okay, look around you. It happened, people. And that led, after some more training, to my coming here to the University of Michigan for an incredibly wonderful 9 years, doing research, taking care of patients, and tormenting medical students with lectures about human genetics with my co-conspirator, Tom Galerder, who's here on the stage. Yeah. already ran into several people today who said they sat through those lectures and they're able to smile about it, so I guess it was okay. And I would have thought at that point that I would be here for the rest of my career because of this wonderful environment. And then this phone call came saying, we need somebody to run the Human Genome Project. Would you do that, please? And that seemed like a pretty exciting opportunity, but oh my God, it meant becoming a federal employee. And one thing my mother said to me about my career, she was pretty careful not to give too much advice, is I don't want any son of mine being a Fed. Well, it was the only time I ever disagreed with my mother, because I really thought this would be an opportunity either to have something go really well or to crash and burn, but it mattered. And so off I went to NIH, and that was 24 years ago, and I seem to still be there, although in a rather different role. Instead, yes, the Genome Project, as you heard, got going. I had the privilege of serving as the field marshal or the project manager or whatever you want to call it, of ultimately a group of 2,400 scientists in 6 countries who labored night and day to read out all of that information about the human DNA instruction book and give it all away every 24 hours up on the web so that people could start to figure out what to do with this, to make sense of it, and to improve the human condition. And that was an incredible opportunity and a joy to be part of. And then I did get asked by President Obama to come back to NIH and serve as the director. Also, a door I had not expected to open, but how do you say no to such an opportunity at a time like this? And so, over the last 8 years, I had the privilege of standing at the helm of this amazing ship of discovery at a time of exceptional scientific opportunity. And I had expected, when I actually accepted the invitation to give this commencement address, that I would no longer be in that highly demanding, time-consuming, uber-intense 100-hour-a-week job, and I would have all this time on my hands, and it would be great to come out to Ann Arbor and have a chance to meet with all of you. And so I submitted my letter of resignation, as we were all supposed to do as presidential appointees, and waited for freedom. And on January 18th, I got this email from the White House saying, your resignation letter has been rejected. You have been held over. Does that sound a little ominous? Well, how can you say no? A chance to be a public servant, to be able to continue to keep this enterprise going forward at this amazing time. It has been a joy to be able to stay in that space. There were rumors spread that my resignation letter must have had some really bad spelling, or maybe the grammar was off or something, but what exactly happened there is still a little mysterious, but here I am, and here I am delighted to be here with you, and believe me, it's a good time to get out of Washington from time to time. So all of you who are interested in science, I got to tell you, this is the most amazing time to be involved in medical science. The awesome opportunities that we are seeing take shape. Maybe it's understanding the human brain, the most complicated structure in the known universe, and we aim to, in the next few years, sort out how those circuits actually do what they do in the normal state, and then use that information to finally make sense of conditions like schizophrenia and autism and epilepsy and Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease and depression and all those things that we know affect the brain. Opioid addiction's on that list too, and how can we do a better job of preventing and treating them? Genomics is sort of finding its way into everything, and the precision medicine revolution, where we need not to do the one-size-fits-all approach to medicine, but actually we can optimize and personalize our prevention strategies and our treatment strategies. That's coming forward. It's not quite there for most people yet, but it's going to be there during your careers in a big way. And we have translational opportunities, therapeutic, amazing opportunities in stem cells, in CRISPR, this ability to edit genes, to change them in a very precise way, and to treat diseases that previously seemed out of reach. In just the last month, I had the privilege of convening a group of experts on a disease which was first characterized in terms of its inheritance right here in the University of Michigan in 1948. Probably not too many people know what that disease was. Well, I'll tell you, it was sickle cell anemia, and it was Jim Neal here at Michigan who figured out this is an autosomal recessive disease. It was the first molecular disease, and yet we still don't have good treatments for it. And I believe with a combination of what we've learned, about hematopoietic stem cells in the bone marrow and about the opportunities presented with CRISPR and gene editing and ways that we could actually prepare the bone marrow to get an individual who's developed sickle cell anemia the opportunity to receive back their cells that have been gene corrected, that we could cure this disease and we could do it in 5 years. Watch and see. Now, is that not cool? Wouldn't you like to grab onto that and be part of it? And I'm aware that those of you who have some interest in research have some anxieties about that because there have been, obviously, some fairly lean years in terms of support for medical research in the United States. But I'm here to tell you that I'm pretty optimistic about the corner that we turned last year. And I'm not sure everybody has sort of seen what's happened here. Last fiscal year, the Congress of the United States, in a bipartisan way, led by both houses and some remarkable heroes, decided that it was time to turn around what had been a dwindling amount of support for NIH. And they, in a very unanimous way, decided to give NIH an extra $2 billion, a 7% increase. That was last year. And that was great. And we all kind of held our breath, well, is that a one-shot deal? Then last December, the 21st Century Cures Bill, put forward, also in a bipartisan way, passed both houses with very strong support. The vote in the Senate was 94-5. And that had within it another $6 billion of support for NIH over the next several years. And then last week, did you notice what happened last week? The Congress, once again, decided in the current fiscal year, okay, it started last October, it's a little late, but it's better late than never, to give us another $2 billion. So listen to this, people. The trajectory we're on is pretty unprecedented. 14% increase plus extra from 21st Century Cures in the last 2 years. And the leaders of the Congress that did that spoke publicly last week saying, watch us. Look what we'll do in the third year of this particular trajectory. So be reassured. If you're interested in medical research, the NIH is going to be there for you. You got to put forward some pretty good ideas, and they'll have to go through peer review. But we want your talent, and we want your brains, we want your vision, we want your optimism, we want your innovative ideas, and we want you to change the world. And we're here to try to help you do that. So that was a little rah-rah for the scientific parts of the community here represented by you all and also by the faculty here on the stage who I also wanted to say those encouraging words to. But this is a commencement address. And as Jesse said, I have to give you 3 points. And I haven't gotten there yet, so I better hurry up. Any good sermon deserves 3 points. And, some of them are silly and some of them get more serious. So first point, maybe I've already hit it, so this one will go quick. Everything is changing really rapidly, so be prepared for that dramatic change and embrace it. Don't resist it. Change in science, things are advancing at an accelerated pace. There are things that are going to happen in the next decade that I can't imagine, and you can't either, but they'll be pretty interesting, and you want to be able to embrace that. Things are changing in healthcare. Not always in a good way, but we're going to figure this out. Maybe we'll finally have a system where we don't waste 30% of our healthcare dollars on things that aren't necessary. And in everything else, life is going to be changing. So you have to, this is a cliche, but I'm going to say it, you have to learn how to keep learning. Have you heard that at a commencement address before? Well, it's true. This is not, you notice the word commencement isn't about ending, it's about a beginning. So there's a reason for that. So point number 1, be prepared for dramatic change. Embrace it. Love it. Second one, which is a little more serious, your path will not always be smooth. Let's be honest. You know that already. You've already faced tough times, every one of you, in various steps along the way to get here today. Even as we all celebrate what you've done, you know along the way there have been some rough moments, some things that have cost you. And I have to be honest, that's going to happen in the future. Things will come in front of you that are heartbreaking. Tragedies will happen. Tomorrow night, I'll be part of this amazing gathering of thousands of people in the Glick Field House for this event called Chad Tough, which is an opportunity to recognize a 5-year-old boy, Chad Carr, who lost his battle with brain tumor, a very malignant brain tumor called DIPG. And yet his parents, Tammy and Jason Carr, and his grandfather, Lloyd Carr, the well-known football coach, have taken this as an opportunity not to go slink away somewhere, but to figure out how to raise consciousness about this and to raise research dollars and to try to, right here at Michigan, put something in place that will result in more attention, more research, more answers for childhood brain tumors. Those tragedies happen, and the question is, what do you do with them? I hate to say this, but you will also encounter failures of yourself or of your relationships, and how you deal with those is going to be a critical part of what's next in your series of chapters. And if you'll forgive me, I'll be personal. One of the failures that I recall with greatest pain, but I hope I learned from, was an experience as a scientist having a student in my own lab who ended up being discovered to have fabricated data. A student who had enormous talent, enormous promise, was headed for great things, and somehow thought that he knew what the answer would be, and it was too much trouble to do the experiment. And that resulted in a very public experience of shame, a retraction of several papers that had already been published, and a big story in the New York Times. That was a failure for a scientist that gets about as far down as it goes. And it was also an opportunity to decide whether to hide about it or whether to talk about it. I chose the latter, as painful as it was. And I learned a lot from that experience about what it means to be a mentor and what it needs to require of one to be sure that you're playing that role. Other failures will happen. I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a downer, but I'm trying to suggest to you the realities, and then as a minute I'll come to how are you preparing for those. That'll be point 3. But point 2, the other failures, relationships. When I was here on the faculty, my marriage broke up. I had never expected that. I thought I was married for life. I went into a pretty dark place as a single person, trying to understand how this could have happened, trying to be sure how I could try to continue to be a father to my 2 daughters, who by then were grown, but still very much in need of parents. And out of that darkness came a lot of self-realization and ultimately a wonderful, exciting, bright place, and that was the discovery of a relationship that, for me, has been life-sustaining ever since. And so I'm going to embarrass her by pointing out to you Diane Baker, who's sitting right over there, who is the person who redeemed me. Diane Baker, by the way, was a faculty member at the University of Michigan and founded and led the genetic counseling program in the Department of Human Genetics for 25 years until I stole her away and brought her to Washington. So yes, what happens when those things happen? Tragedies, failures, do you collapse or do you try to learn? What do you lean on? What's your foundation? By the way, when those things happen to other people around you, reach out to them. That morning when the New York Times published a paper about the fabrication that happened in my lab, the first phone call I got at 6:30 in the morning was the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Donna Shalala, calling to say, I saw it, I know you must be hurting, I just wanted to reach out and say, I believe in you, I care about you. She didn't have to do that. Do those things when you have the chance. So, okay, you're going to have triumphs, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have sorrows, personal failures. Then how do you clarify what is your definition of success? What's your rock that you're going to stand on? You've already demonstrated remarkable intelligence, dedication, and ability to succeed, or you would not be here right now. But are you focused primarily on accomplishments? Because that's in many ways what our system has kind of demanded of you. Or is it a higher calling to focus on character? That's the real thing I want to ask you about. If you have one book to read between now and when residency causes all hell to break loose and you have no time to read, read David Brooks' book called The Road to Character. It will teach you a lot. It taught me a lot. Because he calls out a lot of our current societal norms as being unduly focused on accomplishments, what he would call resume virtues, and not to pay attention to character, the things that people will say about you someday, the eulogy virtues. Think about that right now. If somebody was to try to look at your resume, they'd be impressed. if you got hit by a truck and somebody had to say a eulogy, would they actually talk about those things on your resume, or would they talk about who you are and how you've addressed the big questions, the challenges? Because your resume won't help you handle failures and tragedies so much. They won't help you necessarily nurture relationships, whether romantic ones or family or friendship. They won't help you do the deep thinking about purpose and meaning in life, which is what we're really all called to do, although we often put it aside. So really, what is then your true north? That would be a good thing to think about on a commencement day. What's the rock you stand on when the storms arise? Friedrich Nietzsche has this wonderful one sentence, which David Brooks quotes in that book. It's a little obscure at first, but think about it. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. Well, what kind of hows are they talking about? You're going to have some hows. How can I get through this long night on call? How can I deal with failure? How can I feel so lonely when I'm never alone? How can I deal with those tragedies? He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. So that's the big question for you. What is your how? What's your true north, your bedrock that you stand on? And again, I'll hearken back to when I was in your place as a M4 about to graduate from UNC. I'd arrived at medical school with a purely materialistic worldview, having gotten a PhD in quantum mechanics and figured that everything that was worth knowing could be reduced to second-order differential equations or some representation like that. But like you, sitting at the bedside of people who were sick and dying, many of them through no fault of their own, I realized my worldview wasn't helping me much. It seemed cold, it seemed brittle, it seemed unsatisfying. But I feared that as a scientist, that any alternatives that went beyond the materialists would lead to something like intellectual suicide. So I resisted that, but ultimately felt there was something seriously missing. I had to look and see what were people talking about when they mentioned something in the spiritual realm. So I was in the middle of a 2-year journey at my graduation from med school. And ultimately, at the end of that 2 years, I found to my surprise that there was the possibility, in fact, for me, the reality of a richly satisfying faith. I discovered a God not of ignorance and superstition, but of reason and of unimaginable intelligence, and most of all, a God of love, which provided the ultimate answer to why. Because if love is your why, you can handle any how. Read Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz. That's exactly the point he makes. He even quotes Nietzsche, by the way. If that all sounds a little abstract, let me close by telling, almost close. Let me close by telling you a story where this became particularly clear to me. When I was here on the faculty at the University of Michigan, I had some interest in global health, and by the way, I understand 40% of medical students at Michigan are interested in global health. I think that's fantastic. But I'd never actually done anything about it. Tom Elkins, who was professor of OBGYN, took me aside and said, you know, it would be a good thing for you to see what happens in other parts of the world. We're all kind of coddled here in our fancy medical centers. How about taking a chance on that? And so with my daughter, who was at that time a college student about to go to med school, I took 2 weeks and volunteered as a physician in a mission hospital in Eku, Nigeria, which is in the Delta area, in a very impoverished part of West Africa. And frankly, I went there more thinking about my resume virtues, like, oh, I'm not only, a geneticist who's about to publish the cystic fibrosis gene, I'm going to Africa. And that was my expectation. I would be there. I would figure out all these things that would help all these people that came to see me. Somehow public health would be cured. I mean, it was totally unrealistic. And then I got there. And in this hospital with very limited resources, I was about as stressed as I could imagine. I had to see 40 to 60 patients every afternoon in the clinic who had unimaginable diseases, many of which I really wasn't quite sure how to diagnose. There was no functioning laboratory. The x-ray machine had broken the month before. All you really had was your brain and your hands and your physical finding skills. And after a week or so of this, including taking care of a couple hundred patients in the inpatient ward, many of whom were sleeping on the floor because there was no space for them, I was utterly discouraged and thought, why am I here? This is just so wrong. I got into a how state of, how am I going to get through this? I got a whole other week to go. And that afternoon in clinic, a young man came in who had very puzzling findings. He had massive edema, peripheral edema. And yet it had come on fairly suddenly over the course of a couple of weeks. And there was no obvious reason why that should be until I took his blood pressure. Here's a little physical finding I'm sure you all know. So I took his blood pressure, and I noticed immediately that when he took an inspiration, breathed in, his blood pressure just went away. It disappeared. As soon as he breathed out, it came back. Well, okay, you know what that is, right? Paradoxical pulse. The only obvious explanation for that is that he had a pericardial effusion, and he was in impending tamponade, and most likely had tuberculosis, because this is Nigeria at that point. So what are you going to do? Call the cardiologist. Oh, shoot, there isn't one. Get the echo machine. Oh, there isn't one of those either. Well, at least take a chest X. Oh, it broke. So you got nothing except what you can try to figure out, and then you have to decide whether to do something, because here's a guy who's in extremis. So with my heart in my mouth, I performed for the first and last time in my life a pericardiocentesis, using not up to date, because we didn't have that at that point, but the Washington Manual to guide my needle. And to my great relief, it actually turned out to be the right diagnosis. And the next morning, after 800 milliliters of fluid had been drawn off, I encountered this young farmer sitting up in bed, looking pretty good with a lot of his edema gone. And I should have been pleased at that point, but I wasn't. I was still in this dark, gloomy space because I knew he had tuberculosis. We were going to give him some meds, but probably he lived a long way away. He wouldn't be able to take them as long as he should. His days were probably numbered anyway, even though we'd done this one thing. And so he must have perceived that something wasn't quite right, because as I approached the bedside, he said, "You know, I get the feeling that you're new here." Well, I didn't appreciate that. I thought I was looking pretty experienced. And I admitted, yeah, I was here as a volunteer and only for a couple of weeks. And then he said something that I'll never forget. He said, "I also think you're wondering why you came here." And he said, "I have an answer for you. You came here for one reason. You came here for me." And I still get choked up when I think about that, because I was all lost in the how, and he gave me the why. Because the why was about that thing called love, that we love each other. He and I, as different as you can imagine in experience and geography, and yet he gave me this sense that the sweetest joy that anyone can have is the opportunity in a loving way to reach out and help each other. That's what your profession is all about. That's what medicine is defined by. May it always be so. May those technologies and frustrating difficulties with electronic health records never get in the way of what that means. It's about that relationship and the sweet joy that creates. So, time is passing, and I fear that the thought may be creeping into the minds of some of you. The only why I have is why they let this guy go on so long. But Jesse said I had to summarize, so yes, your times will be a-changing. Embrace those changes. 2, be prepared to make the best of failures and tragedies. And 3, focus on character, not accomplishments. Think about those eulogy virtues, not the resume virtues, and focus on discovering your true north. Okay, just one more bit of advice. The 4th point in my 3-point sermon. And this would be a clue for somebody who's waiting for a clue. Don't forget to have fun. Don't be an Eeyore, at least not all the time. Walt Whitman said, do anything, but let it produce joy. Hans Christian Andersen, it's a little bit sober, but it's kind of funny. Enjoy life. There's plenty of time to be dead. Well, fun is hard to lecture about, so maybe we'll try another version of that and see whether you would enjoy a song written by, well, the music anyway, by a Nobel laureate. His name is Bob Dylan. But Bob's not here, and so I had to rewrite his words because the occasion seemed to require that. And this is the one and only time these lyrics will ever happen. And I sure hope they don't end up on YouTube, but I guess you have to worry about those things, so I had to clean it up a little bit. So this is a song to you. And yeah, your times, they are a-changin'. I hope you got the message already, so you can guess what the tune is going to be. Come all you med students from far and from near. Let's all now agree that our dreams are quite clear. For curing disease is our greatest frontier. If the future we hope to be saving, and what better group than all you gathered here for your times, they are a-changin'. That line's going to come around again, and I wouldn't mind a little participation. Come all you big thinkers who thought your plans through. Just don't be surprised if life knocks them askew. I'm making you question all that you once knew. But experience here will sustain you. So hail to the victors, forever go blue. For your times, they are a-changin'. Today is a day both to laugh and to cry. You'll cherish your memories while saying goodbye. It's also a day to clear your mind's eye. Your true north may need clarifying. You're ready for how if you've settled your why. For your times, they are a-changin'. Let's remember what it's really all about. It's about the people you're going to serve. Your patients, they suffer by day and by night. They dream that their darkness will give way to light. They look to us here to have hope in their fight. It's their lives our hard work is saving. It's up to us all to make their future bright. For your times, they are a-changin'. So look to the future, the challenge is vast. And healthcare solutions are needed so fast. You're bold, you're audacious, not mired in the past. Your prospects are truly amazing. So come on, you doctors, let's go kick some ass. For the times, they are
All I can say is is wow. What a privilege and an honor to have you as this year's medical school commencement address. You will never forget this. On behalf of the medical school, I would like to present you, Dr. Collins, with a small token of our sincere appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Now it's time to present the award recipients for the class of 2017. I would now like to introduce Dr. Joseph Kolars, our Senior Associate Dean for Education and Global Initiatives, who will present the awards. Dean Kolars.
Thank you, Dean Bradford. Boy, it's sure hard to return to the script after something like that, but return I will. The achievement of excellence is the individual obligation of every student and practitioner of medicine. To those who have in their careers evidenced particular dedication to fulfilling this responsibility, recognition is given through the awards, which I now have the pleasure of presenting. I'm going to start with the Senior Award. It's my pleasure to announce that the class of 2017 has selected Dr. David Stewart as the recipient of the Senior Award. Dr. Stewart, please come forward. The Senior Award goes to a member of the faculty of the medical school who, in the view of the graduating class, best exemplifies the ideals of the teacher-clinician. So it is appropriate that the recipient of this award is selected by the graduating class. The award consists of a certificate signed by the president of the Student Council. He will also have his name added to the plaque along with all the names of the past year's recipients. The plaque hangs in the Office of Medical Student Education. Dr. Stewart, congratulations.
So, guys, just keep my guitar back there. Collins scooped me, so I'm going to try to come up with something on the fly here. Truly, I'm honored to be here with you all. And, when I found out that I got this award, I was just honored and humbled that you guys even considered me for it. And frankly, I'm a little terrified now that I've peaked too early in my career, and there's no place to go but down. So thank you. Congratulations to you guys. I do remember this class when you were wee third years, rotating through at the very beginning of your clerkships, and some of the questions you asked me were fantastic. A couple of them. One of them I remember was, Dr. Stewart, what are rounds? And then my favorite, this is true, was actually, do I need to bring a stethoscope? This was pediatrics, yes. Yes, you do. So you guys have come a long way. Here you are, graduating today. You've done some great clinical work over the last couple of years. You're going to spread out across the country, continue that clinical work, and become excellent physicians. So these are very exciting times. And the enthusiasm, that burning drive you have right now for medicine, this is important. For those of us who are involved in residency programs and work with residents, we love this time of year. This is when you guys bring that spark to our program. You reinvigorate us. You remind us about the passion and why we went into this job. Now, you guys know the demands of this job can make us easily forget why we started down this path in the first place. And you might find yourself sometime in the next year with a little less excitement than you have now about going to work. And that's okay. We all go through that. So what I would like to do is share with you what I try to ground myself in, what I try to remember to keep this passion for my profession, for my calling. And since Jesse started us off, I will make it 3 things and I will repeat them later. So first, make time to be at the bedside. This is where you're going to learn about your patient. Yes, the medical information, you got that, but also who they are as people. What makes them tick? What do they value? And it's when we put those 2 things together, that's when we can make elegant medical decisions. So make time to be at the bedside. Number 2, I'll remind you of a quote that's been passed on for the ages, I think all the way back to Hippocrates, about the purpose of our profession. To cure sometimes, to relieve often, to comfort always. The more I do this job, the more those words really ring true to me. That we're not just medical diagnoses, we're people helping people. And to witness each other in our human condition can be one of the most powerful and meaningful experiences. So comfort always. And finally, the 3rd thing is remember where you came from. Your parents, your families, your siblings, your partners. These are the people who know you best. And these are the people who can help remind you who you are if you ever feel lost. So here's my repetition, all right? So make time to be at the bedside. Comfort always. And remember where you came from. I never, never want you to forget this excitement, this enthusiasm you have right now for medicine in your career. You have to hang on to this. This excitement, this enthusiasm is why you guys are going to make a huge impact on your patients, on your colleagues, and in our profession. So thank you guys for your hard work. Thank you for the excitement, the enthusiasm you have shared with us over the last few years. And thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. At this time, I would like to direct your attention to the commencement program. Over the course of the last few weeks, we have had the opportunity to recognize achievement at many events, including at yesterday's awards ceremony. I would now like to ask all the students in the audience who have been presented with awards to please stand and be recognized. Nope, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up, thank you. Some awards are designated by cords. The color of the cord represents a specific award, and those students who have been awarded the distinction in research is noted with the white cord. Distinction in service is noted by the royal blue cords. Distinction in medical education is noted by the light blue cords. Those elected to the Alpha Omega Alpha, or AOA, Honor Society are wearing green cords. And the Distinction Award, which is given to the top 10% of the class of 2017, is noted by the gold cords. Congratulations to each of you. I would like to ask Anirban Sahu and Alexander Holtz to continue standing. Anirban and Alexander are the recipients of the Dean's Award for Research Excellence. This award is given by the faculty to those students who have made outstanding research contributions during their medical school career. Congratulations. Now I would like to ask the following students to please stand. Suzanne Collier, Shannon Lenore Crum, Anirban Sahu, Virginia Morris Sheffield, and Catherine McDonald Wan. Please stand. These students are the top 5 graduates who have excelled academically throughout their medical school education. Congratulations. And will Virginia Morris Sheffield please remain standing? The highest academic achievement award, upon recommendation of the medical school faculty, is given to the graduating senior who has attained the highest record of academic achievement throughout medical school. This year's recipient is Virginia Morris Sheffield, who will be pursuing an internal medicine residency program here at our own University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Congratulations. At this time, I would like to direct your attention to the commencement program. The Token of Appreciation from Medical Students, or TAMS, was established by the class of 1998 to recognize individuals for their significant contributions to the success of students during the medical school years. TAMS recipients, as you will see, include faculty, family, friends, and staff. TAMS is sponsored by the Student Council, and at this time I would like to recognize all of the TAMS award recipients who are present today. Congratulations. Upon recommendation of the faculty of the University of Michigan Medical School, the regents of the university conferred the degree Doctor of Medicine upon those so recommended. I now have the privilege of conferring to you the diploma certifying the degree Doctor of Medicine. Dr. Mangukar, please come forward and present this year's graduating seniors.
Dean Runge, it is my honor to present to you the University of Michigan Medical School's 167th class, the class of 2017. Dr. Pooja Agarwal. Dr. Kashif Ishaq Ahmed. Dr. Paul Maher Al-Attar. Dr. Hussam El-Ghanem. Dr. Ann Elizabeth Allen. Dr. Margaret Brewster Allison. Dr. Maya Anderson. Dr. Juan Jose Andino. Dr. Elizabeth Ann Androska. Dr. Jonathan Awori. Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Baki. Dr. Jeremy Meir Baruch. Dr. Ahmad Akram Bazi. Dr. Sarah Bell. Dr. Jack Bevins. Dr. Rachel Roan Bean. Dr. Sarah Bliss. Dr. Marlon Borges. Dr. Jory Stephen Bond. Dr. Jesse Burke Raffel. Dr. Anton Kamaz. Dr. Erica Carballo. Dr. Silas Cardwell. Dr. Nicole Castaño. Dr. Jason Chan. Dr. Jonyang Chen. Dr. Matthew A. Christensen. Dr. Paul John Christine. Dr. Kimberly Christoph. Dr. Adriana Koleska. Dr. Suzanne Collier. Dr. Shannon Lenore Cram. Dr. Charles Patrick Crooks II. Dr. Anna Carolina Dabrowski. Dr. Jose Ricardo Davila. Dr. Mariana Regina De Freitas. Dr. Jordan Elizabeth Dirk. Dr. Amelia Durstein. Dr. James Drake. Dr. Fanny Wynne Dew. Dr. Zain Salam El Zain. Dr. Sarah Onsin Ewing. Dr. Hussein A. Fardous. Dr. Zishan Ahmed Faruqi. Dr. Nicole Christine Flores. Dr. Darcy Claire Foote. Dr. Stefan Carlos Garcia. Dr. Jennifer Ann Geiger. Dr. Michael Glamer. Dr. Catherine Goldrath. Dr. Harold Gomez. Dr. Kristen Danielle Gonsalves. Dr. Rohan Gopinath. Dr. Ting Gao. Dr. David Haydar. Dr. Mary Elizabeth Hall. Dr. Alexander Dale Palmer Harris. Dr. Matthew James Hartwell. Dr. Lauren Herzog. Dr. Mary Claire Higgins Luthman. Dr. May Himadan. Dr. Melanie Maria Holtrup. Dr. Alexander Matthew Holtz. Dr. Ryan Abram Howard. Dr. Michael Chung Huang. Dr. Tomas Huerta. Dr. Aaron Renee Inman. Dr. Vikas Kemp Jayadev. Dr. Jennifer Jensen. Dr. Olivia Catherine Juntila. Dr. Sami Khan. Dr. Roger Carl Curry. Dr. Olivia Joy Killeen. Dr. Brian Stephen Kunkler. Dr. Sarah Koenig McLaughlin. Dr. Sarah T. Kurz. Dr. Scott Michael Latulip. Dr. Daniel James Lautenbach. Dr. Joshua Paul Lee. Dr. Adam Matthew Lydell. Dr. K. Eileen Leopold. Dr. Stephen Thomas Lichtenstein. Dr. Austin E. Lynn. Dr. Christina Marie Lineback. Dr. David A. Little. Dr. Sean Jeffrey Loader. Dr. Benjamin Stephen Long. Dr. Louis Liu. Dr. Nicole Lugo Santiago. Dr. Alicia Diane Lucier. Dr. Jacob Andrew Mack. Dr. Simanjit Kaur Mand. Dr. Sarah Marks. Dr. Evan Gill Martin. Dr. Jordan Maxey. Dr. Anthony Joseph McCoy. Dr. Brendan Seamus McAvoy. Dr. Alyssa McNamara. Dr. Brendan McNeish. Dr. Alicia Dolores Mi Esperanza Menchaca. Dr. Colin Mervac. Dr. Shravani Mikulaneni. Dr. Emily Marie Morgan. Dr. Gada Dib Mustafa. Dr. Maria Nellison. Dr. Nicole Michelle Navarez. Dr. Michael Thomas Nolte. Dr. Haley Bowen Osen. Dr. Anna Beata Ovcharczyk. Dr. Raghavendra Bucknikar. Dr. Vincent Andrew Palazzola. Dr. Catherine Ann Panning. Dr. Rashmi Patil. Dr. Jake Peterson. Dr. Kirsten Ann Peterson. Dr. Stephen George Phillip. Dr. Paul Pickmans. Dr. Michael James Pienta. Dr. Alana Nicole Pinsky. Dr. Andrew Wilson Plaska. Dr. Clayton Pratt. Dr. Megan Beth Quinlan. Dr. Bishwarathan Ramani. Dr. Eleanor Kate Reimer. Dr. Zainab Risk. Dr. Caitlin Estes Robator. Dr. Vadim Rosen. Dr. Ethan A. Sager. Dr. Anirban Sahu. Dr. David T. Sanford. Dr. Edward Weston Santee. Dr. Anthony Lamar Sawyer. Dr. Aaron David Safey. Dr. Casey Alexander Scavone. Dr. Ashley Michelle Shinsky. Dr. Virginia Morris Sheffield. Dr. Matthew Adam Sherman. Dr. Yael Rona Shinar. Dr. Maxim A. Schleikoff. Dr. Brianna Rose Siljander. Dr. Sean Ranjit Singh. Dr. Moaz Solomon. Dr. Francisco Aldo Solorio. Dr. Eric M. Spencer. Dr. Julia Nicole Stella. Dr. Chelsea Tafoya. Dr. Matthew John Tafoya. Dr. Michael Nareg Turjimanyan. Dr. Kristen Constantine Trella. Dr. Ryan Ellis Tushida. Dr. Nkemjika Ugonabo. Dr. Nita Valikoda. Dr. Miranda Velikov. Dr. Frances Mary Walako. Dr. Meredith East Walton. Dr. Tianyi Wang. Dr. Kimiko Werlamont. Dr. Kaylin Elise Mikoff Wiersma. Dr. Alexandra Brooke Weiss. Dr. Ellen Brady Williams. Dr. Stephen James Wilson. Dr. Catherine McDonald Wan. Dr. Lauren Maybond Wozniak. Dr. Jennifer Shu. Dr. Danny Yang. Dr. Elizabeth Fitzgerald Yates. Dr. Corey Zink. Dr. Rebecca Lynn Zahn. Dean Runge, I now present to you the class of 2017. Congratulations.
Congratulations, class of 2017. You are doctors. However, in our profession, it is the custom established more than 2,000 years ago that no one may be admitted to its honor who has not first expressly taken upon him or herself its obligations. On behalf of our elders, I call upon you to take, as we have taken before you, the oath which bears the name of Hippocrates. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine in the class of 2016 please rise? I would also like to invite all those physicians in the audience who wish at this time to renew the Hippocratic Oath to rise and join with the candidates in taking the oath. The language in which our predecessors first pronounced these words is no longer spoken. The very gods whom they called to witness have been discarded, but we find no nobler terms than the most ancient in which to hand down the traditions of our calling. Will you repeat after me? I do solemnly swear by that which I hold most sacred. That I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members.
That I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members.
That I will share the knowledge and skills which I have received with my colleagues and with future generations of physicians.
That I will share the knowledge and skills that I have received with my colleagues and with future generations of physicians.
That I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor. That into whatsoever house I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick to the utmost of my powers.
That into whatsoever house I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick to the utmost of my power.
I, holding myself aloof from wrong, from corruption, from the tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the good of my patients. And will give no drug, perform no operation for a criminal purpose, even if solicited, far less suggested. That whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of patients, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. These things I do promise, and in proportion as I am faithful to this oath, this my oath, may happiness and good repute be ever mine, the opposite if I shall be forsworn.
These things I do promise, and in proportion as I am faithful to this my oath, may happiness and good repute be ever mine, the opposite if I shall be forsworn.
I'll now invite Dean Bradford to the podium.
Thank you. I now invite everyone to rise and join in singing the alma mater of the University of Michigan, the Yellow and Blue, and followed by the greatest fight song ever written, The Victors. As we conclude this very, very special celebration, we would like to extend an invitation to family and friends to join us at a reception honoring our graduates at the Michigan League. For now, we ask that you please remain seated until faculty and graduates have exited. Once again, on behalf of the faculty of the University of Michigan Medical School, congratulations to the class of 2017. Woo!
show you charges? I do all the scheduling for the auditorium. I love the thunder. Are you going to be special concerts next year? Or in advance? My gift, if I don't know what gift. I'll be at the cathedral, the Catholic cathedral, the church with my fiancé, as part of our organ concert. So it's going to be no. It's not every conference we have a conference every fall. We're done with organ and they have Blessed Sacrament? Yeah. That's pretty good organ. Not as good. No, we have how many pipes in that one? That number's not as good as this. So we have our conference every fall, and not every event, every conference is in the middle, and when I play that, doesn't have to go to Super Bowl food. Well, I know it's exactly what it is. Yeah. So you live around here? Oh, in Billville, really? Okay. Actually, I graduated from